Hi, beautiful grace people. Today I want to talk to you about something I like to call the doormat syndrome. Now, the doormat syndrome is an analogy I use to describe being walked over in your everyday life when it comes to your relationships. I think one of the most unhealthiest things we can tolerate is being in a relationship where we're treated as common, insignificant, disposable, and average. Because those words don't describe any one of you watching this, and they certainly don't describe me. And so I want to show you and really share some strategies from my own world that I've had to develop and be really diligent in applying to make sure that I am not suffering from the ill effects of what I call the doormat syndrome. You don't want to be walked over in your everyday life, and I don't want you to be either. And so I want to share with you 3 strategies that are going to safeguard you from this. Really, it's a relational or social illness. That's the analogy that I use when I speak about it. And it really is unhealthy, which is why I use this analogy. It's very unhealthy. It can affect a lot of arenas in your life. And that's why I think it's really, really important to just be empowered with some strategy to tackle it and really cure yourself of this kind of relational sickness, so to speak. So the first way that you can make sure that you're not being treated like a doormat in your everyday life is to make the decision that you're not going to chase people in your everyday life. If you're the initiator in your relationships, you're always the one that's making the plans, making the phone call, you're doing all the follow-up. I want to just encourage you to just take a moment to step back and see whether or not that is something that is being reciprocated. Because if you're always the person that is initiating and investing in your relationships and you're not seeing any of that being returned, then you may be being treated like I call a doormat. And that is unhealthy for you. It's producing unhealthy results for you, and it's producing unhealthy results for the people you're in relationship with. And so really, I had to discipline myself in this because my job is to invest in people, and I actually love it. I love being alongside people, sharing my skills, sharing my knowledge, the things that I've navigated so that other people can do well in their everyday life. That's what we do at the Jessica Grace platform. But even I had to learn to be really, really intentional to make sure that the people that I am investing my emotional resource in, my strategies, financial resources, were actually receptive to that. And the way they showed that was to make sure that they were also equally leaning in from their side into my world and making a positive contribution in my world. And so I want to encourage you, if you're not sure you're in a relationship, but you think perhaps I might be being walked over a little bit, perhaps I am the initiator, I want to encourage you, it's just a very simple test, but I do give it a bit of a warning. When you do this, it will reveal whether the person or not is actually valuing you and valuing your time. So don't be discouraged, because I think it's better to know where you stand in a relationship than to be operating out of a false sense of a deep connection with someone that you clearly don't have if you're in a doormat situation. And so I want to encourage you, take a moment to step back, perhaps don't be the first one to make that phone call, and see whether or not you're in that relationship. It is 2 ways, and your investment is being reciprocated like it needs to be if you're going to have a healthy relationship. I've done this with numerous relationships, and for sure, I'm not going to tell you that it's turned out like amazing in the sense of everyone has just equally decided they're going to be in my world and contribute and invest their emotional, kind of energy and investment into my life. And I have done this, and I have stopped chasing people. And this is how I realized it was a pattern in my world. People around me realized it was happening and told me, but I had to do this myself, I guess, as a test to prove to myself whether it was actually happening. So I stopped calling, a person that was in my world that I only heard from when they wanted something from me. And I would only hear if they needed a lift or if they needed some advice, or if they, I never actually heard from them any other time. And that's okay for a season, but it's not okay long term. And I stopped doing that. And on more than one occasion when I've done that in this situation, this kind of test, I have never heard from them again. And that is a really, it's quite a soul crushing thing to realize, because you think the kind of the worst thing about operating under this doormat syndrome situation is that you can then get that shocking realization that you think you have a deep connection with someone, but actually it's a one-way connection, and that connection is really in your perception only. And so I want to save you from some of that discouragement and that devastation that comes up when you realize that by telling you, don't chase people. Make sure that you are choosing people that are choosing you. Give priority to people that prioritize you. The people that honor what you are bringing to their life. The people that respect your time and your attention. Those are the kind of people that you want to be opening your world up to. But please do yourself a favor and really make sure that you refuse to continually and habitually chase people. And certainly don't beg people to be in your world, to give you attention and to be your friend, because you're an incredible person and there are great friends out there. So if you're wasting your time in relationships like that, you're just preventing yourself from meeting those people. And so the second way that you can kind of stop being a doormat in your relationships is to realize that some friendships are actually seasonal. And what I mean by that is that not everyone that you share your life with is going to be someone that I term it, be your forever friend. You have forever friends, and that means friends that you're going to know your whole life. I have a best friend that I've known since school, and she is one of my forever friends. Like, I know that we're in this for life. But not everyone that I have had in my life or have in my life right now are going to be in my life for the long haul. And that's not because I'm going to cut them out and because they just, there's going to be a breakdown somewhere down the line that I'm anticipating. It just means that, some people do come into your world for a season to come alongside you, to champion you, to teach you something, just to be good to you, and vice versa. And they may also then move forward in what they're doing in their world, and you do also. So I want to encourage you just to be really intentional to identify those people that, who you need around you in this season, and then who you just need to probably, say goodbye to in other seasons. And I really do believe that some friendships have a use-by date. And when you try to keep people in your life beyond that use-by date, so to speak, things really start to go off. And that's not because anyone in that relationship is a bad person or a bad friend. It just means that you have gone beyond, the purpose of that relationship. It's just finished. And so you just need to recognize that and be prepared to move forward, not with cutting ties in a negative way, but just to realize, not everyone can go where you're going. And it's better to have people around you that fit and that are, really dressed for the season that you're in, than to hold on to people from your past that can't be friends with your present. And I have an example of this. When I started my platform, I had a few people that had worked with me on past projects and in past organizations that really could not get their head around what I had stepped into. Now, and that prevented them really, that perception of, I just don't understand why you're not doing the role that we're so used to you doing. And I think it wasn't because they were bad people. It's just that they didn't have vision for where I was going. And so I wouldn't be where I am today without those people. And the season that they poured into me and what they taught and trained me in was incredible. But I can't have them alongside me now because they don't have a vision for the potential of where I'm going and this platform. So, it's just being mature enough in your relationships to realize, okay, who do I need around me? Who is able to carry this with me in this season in my life? Who can move forward with what I'm doing? All of those things are really, really important. And so, thirdly, the last strategy I have for making sure that you are being really, really diligent in ditching this doormat syndrome is to really surround yourself with people who value you. It's really important that people you have closest to you add value to your life. And so they value your dreams. That by value, I mean they see them as special. They actually are very reverent around your goals. They don't make fun of what you're doing. They don't put you down. Those things are really, really important. So that is also how you make sure that you're not being walked over and that you're really being respected. So I want to wish you every success in your relationships in really curing yourself of the doormat syndrome. And the cure is yours, because what I realized when I address this in my everyday life is that you really do get what you allow in this area. And so don't allow anyone to treat you like you're common, disposable in how they relate to you. If that person is not calling you back, respectfully leave them. If that person, is treating your time as if it's nothing and it's no big deal, respectfully move on from that relationship. I believe when you do this, you're going to succeed more in your everyday life, and you're going to build those kind of relationships that are healthy. They're going to strengthen you for a healthier future.